And that's showbiz. Kid.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most critically acclaimed, awarded, and popular Broadway musicals ever. Number 20, Cats.
Needs a name that's particular, a name that's peculiar, and more dignified.
This musical deserves a mention for its costume design alone. Each unique Jellicle cat brings their own pizzazz to the stage, dancing intricately to an award-winning and catchy score composed by Andrew Lloyd Webber. Though they're all cats, each character has their own individual personality and their own unique voice. Even if you're skeptical about a musical with felines, we guarantee you'll get choked up by memory.
You'll understand what happiness is.
As of 2024, Cats claims the spot as the 5th longest-running Broadway show of all time. But watching these kitties run around never gets old. Number 19, The Sound of Music. Rodgers and Hammerstein's biomusical about the Von Trapp family singers covers a lot of ground for such a squeaky clean show. Although the music is lilting and lovely, it takes place amid the rise of Nazism in Europe. Novice nun Maria is sent to be the governess for a stern Austrian Navy man and his 7 children. She instills in the kids a love of music and eventually falls for their father, Captain Von Trapp. The musical became even more famous when it was adapted to film in 1965. Since then, it's become a favorite of theatergoers across the world.
And I'll sing once more.
Number 18, Into the Woods.
Careful the things you do, children will see and learn.
The crisp wit and beautiful melodies of composer Stephen Sondheim come together to tell this spin on classic fairy tales. Characters like Cinderella and Little Red Riding Hood round out a cast of stock characters trying to find their happily ever afters. But they'll have to contend with a witch, a big bad wolf, and an angry giant first.
I'm not good, I'm not nice, I'm just right. I'm the witch, you're the world.
Into the Woods may be inspired by fairy tales, but its themes of loss, grief, and coming of age are anything but fantastical. Its large cast and ever-relevant content have made it a standard for school productions, and has seen it revived several times since its premiere in the 80s.
First a witch, then a child, then a prince, then a moment who could live in the woods. And to get what you wish, only just for a moment, these are dangerous words.
Number 17, Fiddler on the Roof.
I wouldn't have to work hard. If I were a penny rich.
In the Ukrainian village of Anatevka, traditional and old-fashioned values still rule. Tevye, the milkman, is forced to confront modern ideas of love and marriage when his daughters threaten to buck tradition and wish to choose their own husbands. Watching him wrestle with his beliefs is just as hilarious as it is heartbreaking. Ultimately, though, it's a show about how precarious life, and a way of life, can be as time goes on. Hailed for its incredible choreography and its representation of Jewish culture on stage, Fiddler on the Roof is a long-standing Broadway classic. Sometimes it even shows up in surprising places. Number 16. Oklahoma. Before Rodgers and Hammerstein's first collaboration, musical theater looked very different. Most shows were largely fluff, low stakes, and thin on characterization. Oklahoma started with a bang. Cowboy Curly McLean's first song is a joyous opener that tells us exactly who he is.
Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day.
The rest of the musical is a classic story of characters caught up in love triangles, square dances, and the pleasures of country life. Its large cast and relatively tame plot contents make it perfect for audiences and performers of all ages. However, recent productions have taken more risks, including a controversial 2019 Broadway revival that exposes some of the show's subtext.
Let people say we're in love.
Number 15. The Producers.
I wanna be a producer where a talk's on opening night. I wanna be a producer and see my name Leo bloom in lights.
Mel Brooks knew his 1967 comedy would make a great musical, but he needed the right person for the songs. Then, award-winning composer/lyricist Jerry Herman suggested Brooks write them himself. It turned out to be the right call. The Producers is an incredibly wacky musical about two Broadway, producers, looking to make a quick fortune on a terrible show of their own.
We can do it. You won't rue it. Say goodbye to petty clerk. Hi, producer. Yes, producer.
Its big, body, and tacky numbers take aim at everything from the theater business to Hitler himself. Box office hit doesn't even begin to cover it. The Producers made bank and cleaned up at the 2001 Tonys, winning 12 statuettes, a record for the ceremony.
Raise the money, we're on our way. Keep it gay, gay. We can do it, have our back.
Number 14. My Fair Lady.
Chocolate for me to eat. Lots of coal making lots of heat.
Julie Andrews' star rose when she became Eliza Doolittle, the Cockney flower girl who was taken in by the stuffy linguist Professor Henry Higgins. She learns how to speak proper English, and he falls in love.
I could have danced all night. I could have danced all night and still have begged for more.
They spend most of the show softening each other's edges and making some pretty hilarious blunders along the way. My Fair Lady was an immediate smash with critics and audiences. Based on George Bernard Shaw's Pygmalion, its blend of timeless songs and romantic comedy also made it ripe for revivals in the years since its premiere.
Not only is this show an amazing, lush musical delight and beautiful visuals, but it's also a piece for today.
This piece relates to what's happening in our society and in our culture right now.
In 1964, Audrey Hepburn starred in the well-known film version. Number 13. Gypsy, a musical fable.
Let me entertain you. We'll have a real good.
Inspired by the memoirs of Gypsy Rose Lee, the real standout of this quintessential Broadway musical is her mother, Rose. There's a reason Rose is one of the most sought-after roles. Her stubborn and fierce determination to make her daughters stars drives the entire story, and it also makes one of the most complex musical leads.
For some humdrum people to be, but some people ain't me.
From Ethel Merman to Patti LuPone, some of the greatest actresses ever to appear on Broadway have played the matriarch. With music by Julie Stein and lyrics by Stephen Sondheim, Gypsy has incredible songs and dramatic weight that puts it miles ahead of many others of its kind.
And if it wasn't for me, then where would you be, Miss Gypsy Rose Lee?
Number 12. Hairspray.
That rhythm of town starts calling me down. It's like a message from high above. Oh, oh,
Based on the 1988 film of the same name, Hairspray is a story about overcoming societal expectations, as well as confronting racism, all the while delivered through optimistic and energetic song and dance. With lovable characters left and right, infectious musical numbers, as well as poignant statements about acceptance, Hairspray has something for absolutely everyone.
Yes, I know that the world's spinning fast now, but you gotta get yourself a brand new start. Hey, mama, welcome to the 60s.
From the opening number, Good Morning Baltimore, the audience is transported to a changing world in the early 60s, and by the time the musical ends, you'd better believe you can't stop the beat. Number 11, Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. Stephen Sondheim's gothic horror comedy about a vengeful barber and a deranged pie maker set a new standard for weirdness on the Broadway stage. Sweeney Todd returns to London after years in prison to settle an old score. Mrs. Lovett is in need of something to make her pies more appetizing.
The worst pies in London, even that's polite, the worst pies in London. If you doubt it, take a bite.
They come up with a novel solution that you have to see to believe. Haunting, darkly funny, and beautifully written, Sweeney Todd has captivated audiences across the world since its 1979 Broadway premiere.
Revenge can't be taken in.
Make haste, and if we wed, you'll be commended, sir.
My lord.
It has since added several successful revivals and a movie adaptation to its name. Number 10, Rent.
No other way, no day but today.
Taking on just about every controversial topic under the sun, Jonathan Larson's Pulitzer Prize-winning Rent tackles the difficult subject of living under the shadow of HIV/AIDS. Following a ragtag group of starving artists, the stories of their relationships and their ideas on life and mortality are beautifully told through song, sometimes with hope and optimism, and others with depression and a sense of defeat.
Where it's like the Twilight Zone, and when you're living in America at the end of the millennium.
With subject matter like sexuality, being unhoused, substance use, and death, this show is not for the faint of heart, but for those who open themselves up, they might just start to measure their lives in love.
You know love is a gift from above. Measure your life in love. Seasons of love.
Number 9, a chorus line. At one time, it was the longest-running production on Broadway. A chorus line is the thrilling but depressing story of a group of dancers vying for limited spots in a show's chorus. The stakes couldn't be higher for these performers.
But I can't regret what I did for love, what I did for love.
As we get to know each one, they fade into the anonymity of the pack almost as quickly as they make themselves known to us. With its ensemble structure and look into how the sausage is made, a chorus line was unlike anything audiences had seen before. In fact, it won 9 Tony Awards at the same ceremony where the original production of Chicago was among the nominees. Number 8, Wicked.
I think we found the place where we belong. I wanna be this toy life. So I'll be back for good someday to make my life and make my way.
We all think we know the story of the Wicked Witch of the West, but have we ever stopped to listen to her side? Wicked recounts the friendship that blossoms between Elphaba and Galinda, before they became the Wicked and Good Witch, respectively.
Now that I've chosen to become a palace sister and advisor, there's no money wiser, not when it comes to popular. I know about popular.
The songs composed by legend Stephen Schwartz give depth to characters we all thought we knew, and present a unique peek into the world of Oz before a certain girl from Kansas came along. With something for both younger audiences as well as adults, this musical has already asserted itself as a Broadway staple.
As someone told me lately, everyone deserves a chance to fly.
Number 7. Hamilton.
I hear the drinking song they're singing.
The world turned upside down. The world turned upside down.
Hamilton proves that theater is anything but dead. The musical, with music, lyrics, and book by Lin-Manuel Miranda, hit Broadway in 2015 and was met with universal acclaim. It gives a unique slant to the story of one of America's original, but forgotten, founding fathers, Alexander Hamilton, by featuring a mashup of musical influences ranging from musical theater to hip-hop.
Teach 'em how to say goodbye. You and
The high-energy production also showcases an inclusive and diverse cast to contrast the historical figures that they portray, and speak to what the America of the 21st century actually looks like. Even though it's a younger show, Hamilton shows no sign of throwing away its shot.
I am not throwing away my shot.
Number 6. Cabaret. A writer and a nightclub singer meet at the Kit Kat Club, a seedy cabaret presided over by the mysterious master of ceremonies. What follows is a dizzying descent into immorality and fascism in Berlin, set to some of the best show tunes ever written.
Come hear the music play. Life is a cabaret, old chum. Come to the cabaret.
John Kander and Fred Ebb's immortal show first transported audiences back in 1966. Songs have been added, and whole subplots dropped since that first production, and the overall aesthetic of the show has changed to reflect the times. However, the story still has the power to horrify and dazzle in equal measure.
It's the party at the end of the world, and you want people to have had an incredible time and also taken with them when they leave the provocations of the piece, because it's still such an extraordinarily revolutionary piece of political theatre.
Number 5. The Lion King. Even though the task of bringing beloved animated stories to the real-life stage is daunting, like when they first adapted Beauty and the Beast, Disney somehow finds a way to do it well. The Lion King, a theatrical adaptation of the classic 1994 film, is no different. It's one of the longest-running and well-liked shows Broadway has ever presented.
They live in you. They live in me. They're watching over everything we see.
It features dramatic choreography and graceful performances by dancers, as well as impressive puppetry to bring life to the animals. The amount of musical and physical talent crammed into this production makes it a favorite of both the young and young at heart.
There's virtual reality and automation and CG and very simple storytelling with puppets of strings and just very simple mechanisms. It just has magic and still resonates with people.
Number 4. Les Miserables.
At the end of the day, there's another day dawning, and the sun in the morning is waiting to rise.
A stirring tale of courage, war, and moral strength, Les Miserables was inspired by Victor Hugo's novel of the same name. Set against the backdrop of France on the verge of rebellion, Jean Valjean, or Prisoner 24601, escapes the watchful eye of Inspector Javert and makes a better life for himself by taking in Cosette, the daughter of Fantine. As the narrative unfolds over years, love blossoms and patriotism grows, keeping audiences spellbound the entire time. With action, romance, and drama, Les Mis has something for every theater goer.
Without me, his world will go on turning. A world that's full of happiness that I have never known.
Number 3. Westside Story. This modern-day Romeo and Juliet story marked a turning point in theater. The beginning of legend Stephen Sondheim's Broadway career, West Side Story could have been all too predictable for audiences if not for the iconic musical motifs like I Feel Pretty, America, and Maria.
Maria, say it loud and there's music playing. Say it soft and it's almost like praying.
With the Jets pitted against the Sharks, tensions are high throughout the performance as the characters of Tony and Maria fall in love.
Tonight, the world is wide and bright, going mad, shooting stars into space.
West Side Story manages to cram in social commentary on gang warfare, violence, and murder, with passionate music and sharp choreography. The musical's end, however, is nothing short of heart-wrenching. Number 2. Chicago.
I don't care for wearing silk cravats, ruby studs, satin spats, don't mean a thing. All I care about is love.
Based on the true stories of accused Chicago murderesses in the Roaring '20s, Chicago is one of Broadway's longest-running shows. Filled with murder and manipulation, the narrative of Roxy Hart and Velma Kelly desperately grasping and competing for fame is an enduring classic. The musical has notably taken home a Tony for Best Revival, as well as a Grammy for Best Musical Theater Album, and for good reason. Chicago has a whole lot of glitz, blood, and all that jazz.
It's just a noisy hall where there's a nightly brawl and all that jazz.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The Phantom of the Opera.
Sing, my angel of music, sing for me!
How could we not mention the longest-running Broadway show of all time? With nearly 14,000 performances, Andrew Lloyd Webber's story of love, kidnapping, and murder has been captivating audiences for decades.
Softly, deftly, music shall caress you. Hear it, feel it, secretly possess you.
Dark, dreamy, and mysterious, the haunting melodies performed by the cast, as well as the awe-inspiring set design, keep the performance locked into the Broadway halls of fame. Regardless of how much time passes, this classic tale doesn't ever lose relevance, a fact critics and theatergoers are more than happy to hear.
We pass the point of no return.
Did your favorite musical make the list? Tell us in the comments.
I believe that God has a plan for all of us. I believe that plan involves me getting my own planet.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.